Our panel joins us now for rapid fire, some quick answers to some quick questions. And first off, obviously 2020, it is finally 2020. So at this point in the race, the number of debates to go is decreasing. Some are pretty happy about that. The number of candidates decreasing, but the competition is becoming more and more fierce. Because in this election cycle, we're looking at a different type of competition, and that's specifically within the Democratic Party, which was proven true in the New York Times' tradition of endorsing or now some presidential candidates. Breaking with tradition, for the first time since its founding in 1851, the Times endorsed two candidates, Senators Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar. Why, you may ask? Well, the Times' editorial board explained that Democrats are faced with an important decision within the party, to either vote moderate or to vote progressive. The board said that the similarities of platforms between the progressive candidates and then the moderate candidates were, quote, striking, and that the election is not about the what, but it's about the how. So not about if universal health care should be implemented, but how it should be. That's the main concern within the Democratic Party. So basically, we have two parties within the big tent Democratic Party. My question to you all is, what does this mean for the Democratic Party? A, do you think it's good? Because, you know, we have a variety of ideas, different sects, there's a place for people, there's a place for everyone. Or are we kind of taking away, and in a way is the Democratic Party hurting themselves because their voters aren't rallying around a single candidate to take on the president? We'll go to the Democrats first. Louis, what are you thinking?
So I think that we need a robust discussion over how we achieve these things, but to your point, it's about how we achieve these goals. All Democrats are for the same things, like achieving universal health care, strengthening background checks, and ensuring that we combat climate change in a robust way. And I think that the discussion that we're seeing right now is a very constructive debate over the best ways to achieve it. So I do think that the New York Times endorsement is actually a good thing, because they're just saying that, oh, Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar, they have different approaches to working towards the same goals.
You think it'll hurt your party, though? No, you're not rallying around a single candidate.
Well,
Iowa's in less than 10 days.
You know, that's what a primary process is for. I think that at the end of the day, Democrats are going to realize that any person up here is far better than Donald Trump, and I would hope that they rally behind the eventual nominee.
Zach, what are your thoughts?
I don't have an opinion on whether or not it's a good thing that the New York Times endorsed two Democrats running for president.
Not that they endorsed, not talking about the Times. Let's not go again after the Times now. Just talking about, meaning, I guess I didn't word it properly, just the current state of the party. The Times sort of supplemented the idea that right now we're looking at a different type of race.
I mean, I enjoy watching the Democrats take each other on, because you can talk about how it's not the what, it's the how that's important, but the differences between how you're going to implement these various policies they claim they all agree on are just staggering.
Julian, what do you think about your party?
So I think it's not just about how. It is about a difference of vision for the future, and the Democrat that has, the candidate who has the best vision, that unites the most people, that rallies people's passions about how they want the world to look like in the future, that's the person who's going to win.
But do you think it'll hurt your party?
I don't think so. Fundamentally, I believe that Democrats, they'll unite around a single candidate by the time November comes around.
Hunter, jump in here.
I mean, as much as I wouldn't want to miss an opportunity to rag on the New York Times, I think it's a fine thing.
You're in the School of Media and Public Affairs right now. We don't rail on the media. Thank you very much. Carry on.
No, I mean it's true. I mean, there's a huge split in the Democratic Party. They didn't want to take a stance. They endorsed them both. Like, there's a lot of different ideas going around. Is it hurting them now? Maybe. I mean, once they rally around a candidate and they have a nominee, I think they'll be fine. I mean, just look back to 2016, and in my opinion, on the Republican side, was much more of a brutal primary. And at the end, even Donald Trump, which a lot of folks weren't behind in the primary, everyone kind of rallied around, and he ended up winning. So I don't think it much matters what the New York Times is doing.
All right. We'll now move on to some economic policy. On December 19th, right before the House fled Washington for the holidays, they voted to pass USMCA, the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. Now, this deal, which struggled to secure enough votes for passage over the past year, will essentially replace NAFTA, the North Atlantic Free Trade Agreement. It passed in the Senate earlier this month, and now it will head to the president's desk, where it will almost definitely receive his signature. This was one of his highest economic priorities. So in your guys' opinion, do you think this was an improvement from NAFTA? And what kind of effects do you think we'll see in the U.S.? Hunter, we'll go to you first.
I mean, it's definitely an improvement on NAFTA. It's still, a large portion of the USMCA is NAFTA. I mean, probably 80 or so % of it. But I mean, you're seeing in USMCA increased auto manufacturing and higher wages. There's some stuff on like the pharmaceutical industry tapping them down on. I think overall it is a great deal much better than what we had, and I think that's evident by having people like the Republicans, but also like Elizabeth Warren, voting for this.
Some bipartisanship. It's crazy. Did you ever think it could happen in this town? Zach, what are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with Hunter. The USMCA, the critics who were saying that it's, like Hunter said, 80% NAFTA are really missing that the changes that were made from NAFTA to the USMCA were all great changes. I think 75% of car parts have to be manufactured within the 3 countries in the agreement. Pay, I think, between 25 and a third of the employees making these cars have to make at least $16.50 an hour, which will reduce the push to so many jobs going to countries because of lower wages. And I think the intelligent rights for, patent protections and agricultural purchases included in the agreement will absolutely be a boon to all 3 economies.
Julian?
I think some of the labor protections are moving towards a good path, but fundamentally, USMCA won't change much from NAFTA. A large portion of the jobs lost, et cetera, that have been blamed on NAFTA are really a result of automation. So this will not change much and won't save people's jobs.
Louis, last word?
Yeah, so I do think that it's a net improvement on NAFTA. I think that one thing that I would hope that a Democratic president would renegotiate next year when we elect one is added environmental protections, because climate change is the pressing issue of our time, and it is not addressing that in a sufficient manner. But overall, like Julian said, there's an increase in labor protections. Sherrod Brown, who's a big union guy in the Senate, he voted for it, citing those increased labor protections, and I think that it's a net good, but we have not reached the ultimate goal, in my view.
All right.
Yeah.
Last topic we have. A big day is right around the corner in the U.S. Hint, it's not the Iowa caucus, it's the Super Bowl. And I don't mean the 2020 election, which is basically Washington's Super Bowl these days. I mean like the real Super Bowl. Football, stadiums. Super Bowl 54 will kick off from sunny Miami on February 2nd, the day before Iowa, obviously I have to mention Iowa, with the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, it's a tradition here on Crossfire to ask our political experts who they see taking home the trophy, but this year we have our eyes on another competition on Super Bowl Sunday. We would love to hear your opinions. It's the political ad competition. Some people are saying it's more crazy than the actual Super Bowl. In early January, Mike Bloomberg's campaign running for the Democratic Party, he announced that they purchased a 60-second ad for the Super Bowl that cost, a modest $10 million. It's pocket change these days. But literally hours later, the Trump campaign responded, said that they too took out a 60-second ad for the Super Bowl. Another $10 million. You can't make this up. So my question is, first, who in the Super Bowl we have to ask, but second, who's going to win the political ad competition? Who's going to be better? Are they going to be right after each other? Are they going to be going for each other? I mean, $20 million is a big competition. Louis, jump in first.
Yeah, so just on the football game, I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that Patrick Mahomes will overpower the 49ers defensive line. I think it's going to be a very close game. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be much better than the Trump ad that's going to air. As for, look, if it's Michael Bloomberg and Donald Trump, not an ideal scenario for myself. I will vote for Michael Bloomberg. I will enjoy watching the Michael Bloomberg ad, and I'll use the restroom when Trump's is on TV. Yeah.
Julian?
Yeah, I don't think people go to the Super Bowl to watch commercial ads.
What are you talking about? Who cares about the football? Continue.
I, however, do not watch or follow football. But, 49ers are from San Francisco, and I'm a Californian, so never vote against the home team.
Zach?
I just want to note that the Super Bowl doesn't matter as much as the others because my beloved New England Patriots are not in it. Shout out to the GOAT, number 12.
For the first time in so long. They can take a break.
Number 12, you're the best. But as far as who's going to win, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm not a fan of Andy Reid's, but I do think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take it. And as far as the political ad bowl goes, I don't know, mini Mike Bloomberg's ads have been inundating my YouTube as of late, and they haven't impressed me quite all that much. So I think the Trump team will come up with something a little more compelling.
Hunter, last word.
I was down in Missouri over break with my mom. I gotta go with the Chiefs as well. I don't know. I think they're pretty much the favorite. But with the ads though, obviously Michael Bloomberg, this is his only kind of chance right here. He's not really going into these early states, so he's banking on just dumping all of his money into these big ads. Is it going to work? I don't know. I mean, it's got to be something outside the box, I think, that's really going to capture kind of everyone's mind. The Super Bowl ad isn't just like that 60 seconds. It's you're buying kind of the hype of, oh, he bought a Super Bowl ad. So we'll see what each of the campaigns comes up with. I think Bloomberg's got to really knock it out of the park to stay in this.
All right, you guys want my thoughts? In terms of the football, I'm going to turn to my friends at Unstoppable to get their guidance because they know way more than me than football. But for the ads, obviously Chick-fil-A and Bud Light are always the winners of the ad game. No one can mess with them. They're too good at it. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. We'll have to end things there. Louis Kahn, Julian Anderson, Zach Laba, Hunter Wilson. Amazing debate, really interesting discussion. Appreciate you guys coming on. When we come back, Willow Hassan has her debate fact check. Stay with us.